Rodney, tell me, is it the truth? Don't you really get any respect?
Jackie, I don't get no respect at all.
No.
I mean, I remember when I was a kid, we played hide and seek. Well, they wouldn't even look for me.
As a teenager, Rodney discovered he had a gift for making people laugh. By 15, he was writing jokes, and at 19, he adopted the stage name Jack Roy and began performing anywhere that would have him. Small clubs, hotels, bars, the Catskill resorts became his classroom. The work was tough, the pay was worse, and success always seemed one step away. While other comedians were finding their big break, Rodney was stuck grinding it out night after night. Then life happened. Long before he became the king of no respect, Rodney Dangerfield was just a kid named Jacob Cohen. Born on November 22, 1921, in Babylon, New York, Rodney's childhood was anything but easy. His father, a vaudeville performer named Phil Roy, spent most of his time on the road before eventually walking out on the family. Rodney was raised by his hard-working mother, Dorothy, who struggled to keep food on the table. Money was scarce, and Rodney later admitted that growing up poor and feeling forgotten would stay with him for the rest of his life.
This is a pretty inspirational story. When you were a young guy, you always wanted to be a comedian or something?
At 15, I was writing jokes.
Right.
To escape from reality.
Yeah. Because reality was bad?
Terrible.
Were your parents horrible?
My father was never home, and he was out looking to make other kids.
Right. He was a womanizer.
You weren't enough for him.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
He saw you and said, I have to make more.
And my mother brought me up all wrong.
She did.
That's right.
Like, what do you mean by wrong? Seriously.
Her values.
In 1949, Rodney married Joyce Indig, hoping to build a family while chasing his dream. The couple would have 2 children, Brian and Melanie. But providing for a wife and kids wasn't easy when comedy barely paid the bills. By the early 1950s, Rodney left show business behind and took a regular job selling aluminum siding and paint. The future comedy legend spent his days knocking on doors, trying to make sales and support his family. It wasn't glamorous, but it put food on the table. His marriage struggled under the weight of financial stress, leading to 2 divorces and even a remarriage before the relationship finally ended for good. The years away from comedy was some of the darkest of Rodney's life. Debt piled up, family problems grew, and the dream he'd chased for years seemed dead. But one thing never left him. Deep down, he still believed he was funny. As the 1960s rolled around, Rodney realized something. The problem wasn't that he couldn't make people laugh. The problem was that he didn't have an identity. So he built one from the struggles he'd lived through.
I tell you the truth, I don't get no respect from anyone, you know? Well, the other day I went into McDonald's. They told me I don't deserve a break.
He became the guy whose wife didn't appreciate him, whose friends ignored him, and who couldn't catch a break. A lovable loser who just couldn't get any respect. The genius was that it wasn't really an act. Rodney had lived it. If you're enjoying this deep dive into Rodney's forgotten years, make sure to subscribe to Burn Vault. The rejection, the money problems, the failed relationships, the disappointments. He took the worst parts of his life and somehow turned them into comedy gold. By the late 1960s, Rodney decided to gamble on himself one last time. Most people his age would have accepted defeat. He was a middle-aged salesman with debts, a broken marriage, and a comedy career that had gone nowhere. But Rodney wasn't ready to quit. That decision changed everything.
Now, but I picture myself in a different kind of place. The kind of place Cary Grant would have. A smart supper club. And I would be Mr. Lucky.
By the late 1960s, Rodney decided to give comedy one last shot. Most people would have called it quits. He was nearly 50 years old, buried in debt, divorced, and had spent years selling aluminum siding to make ends meet. But Rodney refused to give up. He took the struggles, heartbreak, and rejection he'd lived through and turned them into the character the world would soon love. The guy who just couldn't get any respect. Before long, television audiences couldn't get enough of him, and by 1970, his incredible comeback was underway. The man who had spent decades feeling overlooked was finally getting his chance to shine. This was only the beginning of Rodney Dangerfield's rise and becoming a comedy legend. Subscribe to Burn Vault and join us for part 2, where we'll follow Rodney's unbelievable journey from struggling underdog to one of the biggest stars in America.